Hi, and welcome to week 4 of Leadership Ethics. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about the last part 2 of the big exercise you'll be doing in this class. So in the part 1, I had you conduct some interviews with people and learn a little bit about how people wrestle through moral problems, and then begin to synthesize that information and sort of look through a variety of different lenses we've talked about in class. And for part 2, I'm asking you to interview yourself. Now, I want to bring your attention to the fact that I made a slight adjustment in the assignment since I first posted at the beginning of class. The assignment was designed for there to be an in-class exercise at the beginning where you did some interviews of each other. I've carved that piece out, and I've made it more explicit in a few parts about the number of dilemmas and moral failures that you're supposed to address, and that number is 3. So if you look at the assignment, if you clicked on it new on our main course website, you would see those minor changes in the directions for part 2. So here's what you're going to be doing. The first part is to think about a moral failure, and I want to point out that I've had classes before where I've introduced this topic, and I've had students look at me and say, "I'm sorry, I can't think of one." And my reaction to that is, well, you may not be thinking about it properly, or you may not be thinking very hard. So I want to try to give you some definitions of what I mean by moral failure. First of all, it doesn't have to be something that's incredibly dramatic or life-altering. We have examples of moral failures that come up every day, and sometimes they're relatively small, and sometimes, unfortunately, they can be quite large. But all it means is that you reach a juncture, a decision point where you know what the right thing to do is. You understand the situation well. You have a good sense of what's happening. You've interpreted it well. All that falls into place, and you come to your decision point, and you know what you should do, and you do something else. And it doesn't mean that you don't always have some good reasons for doing something else. It's just that that isn't the moral reason. You've chosen to do the wrong thing to further your own personal interests, or to further your career, or to strengthen your relationships, or to avoid pain or frustration, or any number of things. We still refer to those as moral failures, and it doesn't have anything to do with how it turned out. It could be that you did the wrong thing and something good came of it. We all know that sometimes we do the right thing and bad things come of it. That's not the point. The point is that judgment-action gap, and when you know what to do, you know what you should do, and you choose something else. And we're calling those moral failures. So I want you to spend time thinking about what those are, to identify 3 of them, and to go through the questions that I've listed, writing down your answers to each of those questions to help understand not just what the moral failure was and what led you to act in the way that you did, but, and this is the most critical point of the exercise, is to try to understand what are the barriers or the incentives that existed then, and to what extent do they still exist now? Now, the situation may change, but I'm really talking about your susceptibility to being tripped up by those barriers, or your desire to continue to chase after those incentives, those things that were so alluring at the moment that they led you to choose to do something that wasn't the most moral act at the time. And are you still likely to be in a position in your life where you would make those same choices? And then to analyze why that's so, and what it is that you could do to overcome them. Develop an action plan of sorts of how you could do a better job when faced with a similar decision point later in life. As you have questions going through this exercise, and I'm sure some of you will, I encourage you to post those questions on the discussion board so everybody can benefit from your question and my answer. And this week we have another case study we're going to be dealing with. I'm encouraging you as you look at the Mean Girls case study to think about the lenses that we've been working on in class, and to see where those can apply, and to try to find, if you can, parallels between other cases that we've worked through in class and the Mean Girls case study, but also the exercise that you're beginning to work on, the moral failures exercise. Think about the people in the Mean Girls scenario, and both administrators and students, and try to understand, well, what are the incentives and what are the barriers, what are the things that are tripping these people up as they make the decisions that they make, and what is it about them that makes them susceptible to these kinds of incentives and barriers and these obstacles that keep them from doing the right thing. Looking forward to seeing your responses to all of these questions online, and again, as you have questions, feel free to share them.